When our Lenten planning team first met several weeks ago, we were immediately clear and unanimous on one thing. We had all given up enough already. We have all given up too much and for much too long. In so many past Lents, we have had choices. Will we give up alcohol or cigarettes? Will it be chocolate or ice cream? Will I give up the thing that's hardest for me? Or will I choose something more middle of the road? Like my childhood self, will I give up potato chips? Because I hardly ever eat them anyway. Now, it may be that sort of Lenten practice is long behind many of us. It may be Lent has become more about taking on something meaningful and new. A daily routine of spiritual reading and reflection. An intentionality around being more expressive of gratitude. Or a determination to work towards reconciliation in a damaged relationship. Again, I think of my childhood self who decided one Lent to make my mom's life easier by getting out of bed the first, not the fourth or fifth or sixth, but the first time she called me to get ready for school. Oh, that was hard. The room was dark, and many mornings the air cold enough to see as I grabbed my clothes and ran downstairs to get dressed by the crackling fire in the kitchen. That was hard, but it was still my choice. I wasn't forced into it. No one even suggested it. I doubt anyone else even conceived of the idea. Being free to choose makes such a difference, doesn't it? One of the hardest things about the circumstances of deprivation in which we now find ourselves is that they were forced upon us. We didn't choose a year of physical isolation, a year of no gatherings of family or church community, no trips, no restaurant dining, no in-person concerts or theater. I don't know about you, but the circumstances of this Lent give me a new intensity of insight and feeling as I hear Mark's brief, bold words telling how the Spirit drove, that is, drove Jesus into the wilderness for an indefinite period of deprivation and testing that in biblical language is known as 40 days. There is something artificial about the church's season of Lent. Unlike the pandemic, unlike the sudden devastating diagnosis, unlike the winter storm that cuts power lines and food supplies. We always know when church Lent is coming. We always know when church Lent is coming, and we always know when and how it's going to end. How different it must have been for Jesus. Newly baptized, newly committed to a ministry of healing, teaching, and dangerous prophecy, with affirmations of God's love still ringing in his ears and spreading warmth through his heart. Then nothing. Nothing but a struggle for daily survival, more often than not, with the only sign of life being his own footprints in the sand. How long, oh God? How long? I can well imagine that being one of Jesus' desert prayers. I know right now it's one of mine. I want to know the actual calendar date of the great vigil of post-pandemic times. I want to know when we will all leave our homes and fill our streets and parks, churches and theaters, libraries and shopping centers with post-pandemic life. How long, oh God? How long? The cry is raw and real. It may need to be oft repeated. It may need to be raged over and shouted. It certainly deserves to be heard. The theme our Lenten team eventually chose is living fully in Lent, finding more in less. Living fully in Lent, finding more in less. A good place to start, I would suggest, may be by being more fully present, more accepting of, more loving towards ourselves. There's an old Lenten slogan that keeps popping into my head. It's from a long time ago, perhaps as far back as my childhood. I wish it would just be gone, because I don't like it one little bit. Perhaps, hopefully, saying it out loud among you today will serve as a sort of exorcism. Lenten self-denial. That's it. Lenten self-denial. It was probably intended to encourage the giving up of beer or whiskey, chocolate or potato chips. But I fear it did more. I fear it did much more than that. It encouraged suppression of many things about ourselves, from not nice but real feelings like anger, to inconvenient questions about the church's authority and doubt about its teachings, to painful issues of our core identity. Lenten self-denial was, I suspect, too much about fitting into a mold and very little about finding and expressing our full selves. So today I say rubbish to that. I would like to use a stronger word, but you may not approve. If there's one thing that we need at all times, and especially in these very real Lenten times, it's ourselves, our full selves, our real selves, our authentic, God-loved selves. I started out this homily by talking about choices, about how empowering it is to have them, and how hard it can be when they're taken away from us. I'm ending with a plea and a prayer for all of us, in whatever our challenges and circumstances, to keep choosing to be more fully ourselves. Because, to borrow and to likely misuse words from a well-known songwriting team, no, they can't take that away from me. No, they can't take that away from me. Thank you all.